Hello everyone, I'm Fan of Thomas31, and welcome back to the series where I review assorted All Engines Go items. Today, by popular vote, I will be showing off these toys that were first released in Walmart stores. In my area anyway. With that said, let's get started. The first item I'll be reviewing is the Percy's Connect and Build Track Bucket. Toy buckets are all the rage in the children's market, with Thomas having quite a history with them as well. So it makes perfect sense to make another one. The All Engines Go range, however, did have another bucket released recently that was chock full of tracks and used a similar name to this one. The main differences between the two is that this bucket comes with less tracks, but includes its own engine, that being Percy. Percy is held to the bucket lid by a zip tie, but other than that, he's completely exposed. I do wish they'd given him a protective plastic bubble, or even stored him inside the bucket. The bucket itself serves as the main packaging, with a cardboard insert wrapped around the front, back, and bottom. The front shows you some details about the tracks this bucket comes with and the two layouts you can build with them. The back shows you a contents graph with some safety information, and the bottom is where all of the copywriting is. Okay, I'm going to remove these zip ties so we can take a closer look at this bucket. Before I look inside the bucket, I'll look at the included Percy engine. Percy comes as a die-cast push-along toy. He has mud detailing on his sides with a brown chassis and buffers, and he has a smiling expression, which is different from his standard release. Much like the recent Percy variants, his paint appears to be more glossy than usual. Now, I would call this Percy an exclusive release, and while that's partially true, he actually shares resemblances to past variations. His face, for instance, was used previously in the Mystery of Lookout Mountain pack. And as for the rest of him, his mud decals and colors are exactly the same as the Mud Run Percy released a while back. So while you could still call this an exclusive Percy for his face and body combination, he's a heavily recycled one at that. Now for the bucket itself. Upon removing the lid, you're greeted by this group promo very similar to the one they put on the sides of every other playset box. The promo is part of the cardboard insert, and upon removing that, you're greeted by another tie holding the bucket's contents in place. From inside the bucket, all of the track pieces are stored neatly inside, being packed in plastic bags or held together with string. There's also a bag containing the instructions and a sticker sheet. Great. Something I would like to point out before I start building the first layout is how the bucket and its lid have tracks molded into them, so you could use them as part of the layout, with the lid having a three-way switch and the bucket having an intersection with a tunnel also shaped into it. Okay, let's build this track now. So here is the first layout you're able to build with the included pieces of track, and the one that utilizes the most pieces. The assembly wasn't that difficult, but once again there are stickers that you need to apply yourself. Those being the buffer decal, a muddy mail sign, and these two tunnel portals that are divided into 3 pieces each. I must admit, this division made their application a whole lot easier, and the line between them doesn't look too jarring, although there is this Thomas & Friends logo sticker that was already applied for you. So how come this one gets special treatment while the others didn't? But anyway, the track itself forms a sort of figure 8, with an additional circle access from the 3-way switch, and a siding that Percy can fit in. You can either push Percy along the track, or you can send him down the mini slope tracks on his own. But watch out for the slope at the back, he'll fly off of that one. Of course, all of your push-along trains will work on this layout, and even your motorized ones too. A very fun layout, but now let's build the other track this set offers. And here is layout number 2. While it utilizes less pieces than the first one, it's still rather big and complex. It forms a more complicated shape than a figure 8, but it still has an independent loop with a siding that Percy can park in. Though something I don't like about this layout is how it only works one way. After sending Percy through the elevated section, he comes back to the loop with no way to get back out unless you back him up. And while they did manage to use all of the tracks on the 3-way switch, it's a little odd that this layout doesn't utilize the intersection on the tunnel. But then again, there are only so many pieces this set has. Much like the first layout, this one has several elevated sections that you can push Percy along or send him down. And of course, other push-along and motorized engines will work on this track too. Though out of the two layouts, I think I prefer the first one. And that's all there is to say, really. The Percy's Connect and Build Track Bucket is a neat little set with plenty of track and a nice little Percy train to go with it. Now, storage of all this track is a big deal, and that's pretty easy, with all of the track being able to fit in the bucket it comes with. For all of these reasons, I would gladly recommend this set to any All Engines Go fan. All in all, I give this track bucket a 4 out of 5. It does have its imperfections, but these don't affect the playability of the track layouts. The next item I'll be reviewing is the Abridged to Sodor playset. Right away, this set looks a little unusual because the box is built vertically instead of horizontally like every other set. Of course, from this side we can see a large picture that demonstrates the majority of the set, and an overhead graph that shows you the set's layout and tells you some specifications about it. We can also see the included train encased at the top. The train consists of Thomas, a hopper car, and Bruno. Strangely, while Thomas is properly labeled as a motorized engine, Bruno is labeled as a push-along car. While this is accurate in the sense that he doesn't have a motor, he is not featured as his diecast version. As per usual, the sides of the box show promos of the characters, this time along with some safety information, with this side having a promo of Thomas and Bruno. The bottom has all of the copyright information, and the back shows you a graph of all the pieces in the box, and an overview of what this set does. To open the box, an orange arrow can also be seen from the back. Opening the box reveals another character promo, and a message that tells you to look for the All Engines Go series. I'm gonna miss those personalized Thomas messages. From inside the box, we can see its contents packed in tightly. When outside of the box, we can see almost every piece is contained in a plastic bag, some of which are colored in a strange blue and red tint, something I've never seen before. Before I build this playset, let's take a closer look at the train you get. The train is a 3-car consist, much like your typical motorized pack. At the front of the train is the Thomas engine. This Thomas is standard for the most part, having no special decals printed on his sides. Although, he does have a unique grinning expression that no other Thomas variant has. The first car Thomas comes with is a standard blue hopper car as seen in several other sets and packs. This one, however, does come included with its own cargo, that being 2 brown boulders. The second car Thomas comes with is Bruno. This is the first time Bruno has come included in a motorized train set. Much like Thomas, he has no special decals, but he does have a smiling expression that is different from his standard release. Well, that's all there is to note on the train, so let's build the playset. And here is the completed set. To my surprise, the instructions included 2 different layout options, but for this review, I'll only be talking about the one advertised on the box. This layout is big, maybe not the biggest, but it definitely isn't small. The layout forms the shape of a figure 8, with a smaller loop that goes around half of it. Now, I'm sure a lot of you have noticed that this set recycles some pieces from other sets. The least notable, but most used pieces are the buffer stop that blocks a switch that's placed on the layout for expansive purposes, and a billboard very similar to the ones featured in some other sets. This one has a large sticker that you have to apply yourself, with a picture that came from the episode Hot Air Percy. Then there's this bridge that was first used in the Percy 6-in-1 set, but has been recolored into the likeness of the Sodor suspension bridge. There's also this hopper that has appeared in a few other sets, and the Carly crane which was originally seen in the Fix 'em Up Friends set, but now has a grabber claw instead of a hook and a new facial expression. One more thing I'd like to point out is these bumpy sections of track. These pieces have started appearing in recent playsets more frequently. I get that they're supposed to add some action to how the set plays out, but I don't know if this is a fair trade for the normal straight and curved pieces we could have gotten in their place. But back on track, let's see how this set plays out. As I said earlier, this is a big layout, so there's a lot of track to watch Thomas chug and bump along with two different routes to choose from, those being under the bridge or over it. Then there's this hopper, which you load one of the two boulders into and drop it into Thomas's hopper car as he rolls under it. Then you send Thomas to Carly, where he stops for her to unload it. Then he goes off to pick up the next boulder, and the process begins again. While this set isn't as flashy or gimmicky as other sets of this scale, this one utilizes simple train play to make it fun in its own way. And that was the Abridged to Sodor set. A very extravagant, but also rather basic playset. You get a good selection of characters, even if the engine is Thomas, and you get a large variety of track. While it does have its few shortcomings, it's a very nice set, and I would gladly recommend it to any All Engines Go fan. With that said, I give it a 4 out of 5. While the Abridged to Sodor is not a perfect set, it comes rather close. The last items I'll be reviewing in this video are these Thomas plush toys. These started appearing in Walmart stores last year. They were shipped to stores in cases of 2 and 3, with one case containing 2 Thomases, and the other case containing Diesel, Percy, and Kana. Each case had a cardboard display that would show off the plushies, where consumers could then buy them individually. I'll briefly go over each plushie in detail, starting with Thomas. As I just said, Thomas comes in sets of 2, making him the most common out of all the plushies. He does, however, bear several resemblances to another Thomas plushie that was released in Barnes & Noble shortly after All Engines Go started. The main differences between that Thomas are that this Thomas is smaller, and he has details that better resemble the All Engines Go series rather than the previous CGI series. He does have a very boxy shape, but he's very soft and squishy, and he still captures the essence of Thomas from the show. Just not as well as other plushies we've seen in the past. Starting the 3 plush set, we have Percy. His shape is very similar to Thomas's, but with several key differences, those being his face, his color, his number and stripes, and his wheels. Much like Thomas, this plushie has a very basic shape, but it still screams with Percy flair. Next we have Diesel, who has a unique and even more boxy shape than everyone else. If he didn't look like a Minecraft block before, he does now. Strangely, to go with his black color, they gave him a brown tint instead of the subtle purple tint he has in the show. Even so, this plushie still looks the part for Diesel. Finally, we have Kana. Much like Diesel, her plushie has a unique shape with a very blocky body and a flap on her back to represent the overhang of her streamlining. Due to Kana's streamlined shape in the show, she was the easiest character to translate into plush form, making her the best looking plushie of the group. And that's about all I can say about these plush toys. There's no real play feature to talk about on them. They're just huggable, squeezable Thomas trains that were made to look as adorable and fluffy as possible. With that said, I think a lot of kids would enjoy these plushies, as well as any plush collectors who have a soft spot for Thomas. With all things considered, I give these plushies a 3 out of 5. While they could have portrayed the characters a little better, especially shape-wise, that's not to say they look bad at all. Thank you for watching my rambling on all of these toy trains. If you would like to see me review more All Engines Go products, leave a like on this video, and make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on my future Thomas content. Thanks again for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.